Hello again from my front porch. Well, it is the last day of the year of 2019, and tomorrow we wake up and it's a whole new year, 2020. Some say a whole new decade. Real purists point out that no, it's not a new decade. It's not a new decade until you hit 2021, because there was no year zero. There was a year one, and so that's when the decade starts. Whatever. I would argue that year one, when it was commemorated, year one, that wasn't when that year started. That was technically the end of that year. All the year leading up to year one would have been the first year. So it did start at zero. But I don't think that's worth arguing over. There are plenty of other things that you can't argue over. I don't think that's really worth one of them. What I do know is that there is something significant in this type of a change, where it's not just the end of a month, it's not just the end of a year, it is the end of a time frame. And just like when we're growing up, you're in your teens, and then you move to your 20s, and you move to your 30s, and you move to your 40s. And we see that zero number as both the end of a legacy or of a lineage line. So you're in your teens until you hit 20, and now that's the end. But that also launches your 20s until you hit 30, and it's the end of that line, and then you go on in your 30s. And so I feel like that's where this is at too. So whether you see it as the beginning of the decade or not, still it is a key transition point. And so it's not surprising that we have a lot of people that make a big deal about the changes they want to make. Now, every year, whenever there's a new year, there's always resolutions that people make, and they focus on how they want to improve themselves. Josh and Ashley and I were joking about this down in Florida when I was down with them last week, about because he goes to the gym all the time. He is a regular gym guy. And he gets so annoyed and frustrated that in these next few weeks after the first of the year, the gyms are going to be packed with all these people like, that's it. This year I'm getting in shape. And they'll last for like 2-3 weeks. Then, whoop, they're gone. In the meantime, those who actually do use the gym like Josh are like, would you people just get out of my way? So anyway, poor Josh is going to have to put up with some of those folks here for the short term. But I am not one to make New Year's resolutions. I think I used to. I don't really remember ever really making, but I'm guessing when I was younger I probably did it because everybody else was, and you had to have something to talk about. But in more recent life, I really haven't gotten into that. I will sometimes set a goal for myself, something I'd like to achieve in the coming year. You can think of it as like a short-term bucket list kind of thing, and I think that's cool. But I don't really see that as a New Year's resolution, because a lot of times resolutions are something that you want to change, generally about yourself or your circumstances around you. And I guess I would be more supportive of people doing goals than resolutions with that definition. The reason being, far too many people cut themselves down and belittle themselves when doing their New Year's resolution. They will say things like, I'm tired of looking in the mirror and seeing this fat person looking back at me, so in this next year, I'm going to lose weight. Okay, well, if that motivates you, okay, great. But the point is, you should just have a goal of losing weight because you want to feel better, because you want to be able to enjoy life more, for whatever reason. But you shouldn't have to put yourself down. You shouldn't have to look in the mirror and go, hey, Lardo, you need to lose weight. I mean, you shouldn't have to denigrate yourself. Now, I'm not naive. I understand a lot of people live there. That's the mindset they have to battle every day, and I think that's horrible. That someone would feel put in that position, and a lot of times they do because we as society sort of push an idea onto them. Like for example, right now, even women still have this pressure to be curvy and shapely and, and thin and, but also have curves in the right places and, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, there's all this talk about how the dad bod is so sexy. The dad bod is like, and the dad bod is basically the outer shape guy. Not, I'm not complaining because, I think I do the dad bod really well. But the point being that it's unfair. Why do guys get away with looking good with the dad bod? Meanwhile, women can't look good unless they're toned and thin and, whatever. People should be able to be happy with who you are. Now, if you want to do something to improve yourself, if you want to do something to improve yourself, lose weight, change your hairstyle, change your hair color, reinvent your apparel, your look, your outfits. If you want to redecorate your house, you want to get a new car, maybe you want to try some new habits, some new hobbies, you want to pursue a dream that you haven't pursued before, great. But do those things because you want to do them and because doing so would make you feel fulfilled. Don't do them because you feel like you're somehow less without doing them. Don't set your resolutions because you feel like you are a failure in some way, because you're not living up to an expectation of others around you. Who cares what they think? They're not living your life. You are living your life. And so as I sit here reflecting back on 2019, I think, I have a lot to be thankful for. The new job, obviously, huge thing to be thankful for. But I've also made a number of new friends along the way. Throughout the year, I've had opportunities to do some exciting things, some new experiences, travel quite a bit. Again, some of that because of the job, but still, those opportunities, I've taken advantage of those. My involvement with the Filipino American Society has again built new friendships, created some wonderful opportunities for me to get to do some things that I otherwise wouldn't be doing, and it's just been a really good year. Now there was some sadness too, because initially when I took the new job, of course, I thought I was going to have to be moving, while that's not an immediate plan, it still is an option on the table. It's still something that hasn't gone away, so it still may eventually happen. In changing to this job and in recognizing that I might have to sever some local connections with things, I found myself pulling back and pulling away and resigning from some involvements and not being as engaged in some ways with stuff, and that was tough for me. It was very sad. Now, in hindsight, that's proven to be really smart, because my new job has taken up a great deal of my time, and so it's worked out. In fact, I told my son-in-law Josh and Ashley while we were driving during my visit down there, we were talking about this concept that I firmly do believe that everything works out for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. Things happen that are supposed to happen. Now, while I genuinely believe that everything happens for a reason, I also understand that sometimes the reason things happen is because you're stupid. And I think I'm going to do another of these episodes someday on that topic alone, because there's a wealth of material there. But really, sometimes things happen because we made bad choices. We did stupid things. But sometimes, a lot of times, hopefully, things happen just because that's the way they were meant to work out. That's the way the pieces fit together. And so my forfeiting some of the things that I was passionate about and involved with, making room for me to be able to immerse myself in these new areas of focus and passion has been wonderful. And so So I'm glad with how that worked out. And I was able to spend time with both my kids this year that I otherwise would not have been able to do with them. Especially if Alex was still living out in California. I never made it out there to see him during the year and a half he was out there. Would have been nice, but did not make it out there. But still, I've enjoyed all the experiences that I've been able to have this year. It's been a wonderful time. Looking ahead to 2020, I expect more of the same. And the reason I expect more of the same is because that's what I'm planning to do. I'm not planning to sit back and just relax and be, no, I mean, this new job is going to keep me hopping. It's going to keep me traveling. I'm going to keep exploring new things. I've already signed up to be a speaker at the next ATD International Conference and Expo coming up in May. So I've already got that on the agenda. And there are a couple of music-related things that I'm planning, and I'll be talking more about both of those coming up here as well. But I decided, you know what, I'm gonna pursue a couple of bucket list items this coming year. I want to be able to say that I did a concert that I performed. You know, I've gone to hear others perform and sing and things in various places, but I want to be able to say that I did that at least one time. You know, Paul Smith live, one night only kind of thing. So I've worked with my good friends over at Merle Hay Lanes, who last year were hosting a lot of live music. They haven't been able to host the live music this year, but I've arranged with them for me to do my own little concert there. We just got to get it scheduled when the date's going to be, and then they're going to let me do an evening there where I will perform. I'll do a 2.5, 3 hour set like everybody does, except mine will be with recorded music, not with not with actual music, because I don't actually play a guitar. I play a tambourine, but I don't think you'll listen to me for 2 hours, 3 hours playing a tambourine. But so I'll be working that out to do that. And then also later in the year, in the fall, there's always this event called the Cash, which is a tribute to Johnny Cash. And it's hosted here in Des Moines at the Gas Lamp. And they bring in various different groups who come in and perform a handful of Johnny Cash's songs. Some do them very straight up traditional. Some do more of an interpretation of those songs. And so I've long dreamed about being on that stage and being part of that event, because I do enjoy Johnny Cash. And so I talked with a guy who coordinates it, and I found out the details of how they do their selections. And I am now in the midst of trying to recruit and assemble a band, my own band. Not to be a band, to be out doing stuff, because again, I'm not around to be able to do that anyway, but specifically to prepare for this event. Now, it's possible that what I put together, we might want to, dust it off and, experiment with the sound. And so there might be some opportunities, who knows, where some of the songs are performed or done in some other venues before we get to October, November, whenever this event would come up. But so anyway, that's those are two things that are on my bucket list. They're not resolutions. They're not things that I'm changing about myself. They're just dreams that I want to accomplish, things that I want to pursue. And so I'm looking forward to going after those things. And I hope you come up with some things you want to accomplish in the year ahead too. Now, if you want to call them resolutions, fine. If you want to call them goals, fine. If you want to call them bucket list items, fine. Doesn't matter. But again, do what you want to do because it will make you feel fulfilled. That's the important ingredient. Just be fulfilled in 2020. And with that, I'll let you go. And I'll see you next time from my front porch.